Awesome. Yep, and then we're going to open up the upper body. Just push that up overhead and then back down. And then slowly work the hands in. See how close you can get your hands. And you'll feel how that kind of like forces the chest to open. So just up and down behind the back. If you're someone that tends to be rounded forward in your posture, this is a good exercise you do on a regular basis with the broomstick. Just open up the chest in conjunction with some stretches that we're going to be doing this round. All right, fantastic. Couple more there, and then go ahead and bring it down in front. So with the deadlift, it's the action of picking something up off the ground. So the first thing we want to do is kind of check in to see where is your standing toe touch at. So with my feet hip width apart, toes pointing straight ahead, I'm going to engage my core. So imagine if, it always sounds a little funny, but if I were going to punch you in the gut, imagine how you would brace your core. So you would push out instead of sucking in. When you push out, you're engaging that musculature. If you ever watch weightlifters and they put those belts around the waist, they do that to tell the body to push out against the belt, because that's where you're going to get that bracing to protect the spine. So if I say to tense the belly, that's what I'm referring to. Don't suck her in, but push against. All right, so from here, first we want to find neutral. So if I rock my hips forward and rock them back, rock them forward, rock them back, you want to find that middle position where I'm just kind of straight up and down. I'm not arched, but I'm not rounded, tucked under. Okay, so hold the belly neutral. Now we're going to take our broomstick or PVC, and I'm using my upper body to pull it against my body. So instead of letting it just kind of dangle here, pull it against the body. You feel how that activates what you call your lat muscles in your side. And now holding it against, now I'm going to start to send the hips back. Let's just come to the bottom of the thigh to start. So I have a slight bend in my knees. My spine is long. I'm coming up, engaging the glute, sending the hips back, bring it to the bottom of the thigh. Similar to that hamstring stretch we did at the beginning. Hips back and stand. Now my knees are slightly bent, but they should not really be continuing to bend at this point. I'm just moving it around that axis. Straight back, one more, and stand. All right, now we're going to go into that toe touch test. So with the PVC right where it is, I'm going to come down, look down, and I'm just going to continue down until I kind of find my bottom range where you're like, okay, now I feel a stretch. And just see where that is. Are you touching the ground? Are you touching 2 inches below the shins? You know, where are you that feels good to you? And then stand up from there, okay? Ideally, over time, we want to develop that ability to reach down and touch our toes, all right? But if you're not there yet, that's important to know, because when we're doing our deadlifting, especially when we get to our dumbbells and such, instead of coming all the way down to the ground, if you're tight in the hamstrings and you go farther than your body's ready for, you can start to round in the back in more of a flex position, and that's what we're working to avoid, all right? So if you do have that ability that you can pretty easily get all the way down to the ground, then just stick with it. Go all the way to mid-shin. So standing tall, the big thing I want you to focus on here, upper body holding the object close, and then sending the hips back. When I get to the knees now, I'm going to now bend the knees a little bit more to send them forward. Okay, so I'm straight up, engaging the glutes, hips set back. Now I bend the knees a little bit more so my spine stays flat and I come to mid-shin. All right, if you are someone that's stiff in those hamstrings, you may just go to the shins and then don't go the rest of the way. So see how it feels for you. If anyone ever wants me to look at their movement, you can come off mute and so on. All right, so you can go ahead and set your broomstick down or PVC down. And now we're gonna mimic that movement with a dumbbell. So based upon the size that you have, you could hold 1 or 2. I'm gonna start by showing it with 2. I just have my weight to the side of the body, and it's gonna be the same motion from there. I'm contracting my upper body to keep it close. Hips come back, coming down to about mid-shin or the bottom of the thigh, whatever makes sense for your current range of motion. The reason I want to engage the upper body is so that they don't swing away from me like this. So I hold it in close and then stand. If you allow it to swing away, that's going to be more strain on the back. So I think you want to keep that weight close to your center of gravity. Okay. And then I'm just going to show you one more option. If you have a little bit of a larger dumbbell or just have one to use, you can hold it right between the legs. Take a little wider base stance. We call this more of a sumo deadlift. And then now I can control it down either to the floor or just right between the knees. Stand from there. All right, so that's our deadlift. Are there any questions on that? And if you don't have weights or you don't feel like you want to use weights yet, then feel free to use that PVC or your broomstick. Excellent. Our other movements are push-up. So I'll show it from the ground first. The big thing on the push-ups is typically that what's going on at the elbows, because that is going to dictate what's happening at the shoulders. So the most common mistake I see is that people send their elbows out wide. You want to keep them more tucked into the side. You want to ideally bring your chest all the way down and then push up from there. I recommend doing these elevated to start. I just wanted to show that elbow angle from the front. So I could go on my knees if I don't have a high enough surface that's appropriate. And I would lower down to the chair or the bench and push away. To make it harder, I would come to my toes, lower down, and push away. My bench is a little unsturdy, so make sure whatever you're using is definitely nice and sturdy. Okay, back of the couch, side of the couch, what have you. That's not sturdy for me to demo on. So it's going to be 30 seconds.